to serve.
Welcome back. We'll get to Jason Garrett and the Cowboys in a second, but first, NAIA football Southern Oregon University wide receiver Parker Randall making a great diving catch.
Oh, my goodness. This ball hits the turf. He still keeps control of it.
As an NAIA level guys making these catches?
Oh, and the quarterback looks off the safety to the left, throws that skinny post. Watch this catch right here.
Yep.
It's a nice catch.
It's hard to keep control
Maintains
like that with the momentum.
Next up, little FCS action. Towson quarterback Tom Flacco. Joe's brother finds Darian Street in the back of the end zone, who manages to keep one foot in bounds for the touchdown. How about that?
Man, that got that fence awful close there. Down.
Not only a great catch, watch how he hits this left foot in the corner before he goes into the fence. Watch it. Little left foot there. Give me that.
That is good at the collegiate level. That's outstanding.
All right, we're heading north.
We're digging deep now.
We're digging.
Okay.
All right, CFL action. Toronto Argonauts wide receiver S.J. Green. That's a 40
I can tell how he runs.
We keep seeing this guy, see?
Oh, yeah, he just went over 10,000 yards, one of the leading receivers all time, one of the great guys playing in the CFL from South Florida.
Trains with you guys?
Florida. Yep, trains with us some too. Makes his home there in the Orlando area. Good dude. Playing up in Toronto. Great city.
That's what I was about to say. That split times. Oh, my.
Ooh, little NBA preseason. Sixers Pistons. Norvell Pell says no to Detroit's Christian Wood at the rim. And his teammates love it.
Oh, that is a big-time block now. He says, I might show up on a poster. Don't care. I'm protecting these 3 feet around the rim.
That's me every day cheering for the NBA season. 6 more days.
Can you believe it?
6 more days?
Wow.
It is going to be on. Yes.
You know, next week to talk about it, Chris Bosh going to be joining us breaking the NBA season.
Good lob to yourself there, Nick.
That's happening.
No problem.
All right, on to the Cowboys, where Jason Garrett's job security has been a focal point of late. A 3-game losing streak capped off by a loss to the New York Jets isn't really helping his cause. But with the Eagles coming to town on Sunday night, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones wants everyone to know that they are all in on their head coach.
I have felt that we've got a lot invested in Jason Garrett. He had a lot of years that he's been a part of the Cowboys, and he's evolved into what I think is a top coach. He would be a very sought-after coach if he were out here in the open market. So there's a lot of pluses there. He brings a lot to the table. I can genuinely say that that is not a thought that I'm having.
Maybe not now, CC, but how bad will it be if the Cowboys fall to the Eagles on Sunday and suddenly they're looking at a 3-4 record in a division where they easily could have been at the top?
Typically, when the Dallas Cowboys are struggling, one of the easiest things that we do is, man, let's fire Jason Garrett. But in the process of doing that, we forget who the owner of the team is and what type of team that he wants. Jerry likes Jason Garrett to be the coach because not only their working relationship, but how he handles the team. Because Jason Garrett, the one thing that I can say with the players that they've drafted and the free agents that they have brought in, they have developed these. They got some good young players that they have developed. Now, last year, they changed the offensive side of the ball. The defense has been pretty solid. So they go with Kellen Moore as the new offensive coordinator, John Kitna as your new quarterback coach. They changed the offensive line coach last year. So how long am I going to give this with my quarterback being his 4th year to be able to everything to build it, come together in this offense to be able to function? So to me, the coach is not even in question, even if they lose this week, even if they lose the week after that. Jerry Jones runs his business a different way. And every coach, even if he's a good coach, can't coach the Dallas Cowboys because he can't deal with Jerry and his son Steven on a daily basis and the optics that surround the Cowboys and the hype of the Cowboys every single year. You have to be a different type of person. Now, I believe that Jason, even though people think that they've underachieved, I don't think that they've underachieved. And when the players, his marquee players, are healthy, the Dallas Cowboys are a good football team. Now, people will say, well, these other coaches, they have backups in there. Who? Besides Belichick, and then we saw my man in Philadelphia do it 2 years ago.
Some people would say Sean Payton this year is doing it. No quarterback with Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, when you sign Teddy Bridgewater,
it's because you have more faith in him than almost any
so your
backup.
intel, your scouting department, the faith that you had him, you went out and traded for him from the Jets. So, yeah, you did do your homework. And it's about performing on the – I believe we criticize too much the coach in Dallas and don't criticize the players. And the players are the one not playing up to their ability, Nick.
So I don't think Jerry Jones is going to make a midseason coaching change. And if he does, it would be in December, week 15, 16, if the season is officially lost. I do think if the Dallas Cowboys lose this week in the Philadelphia Eagles, Jason Garrett is not going to be the head coach next season. Because if they lose this week to the Philadelphia Eagles, which would be their 4th straight loss, which would put them under 500 nearing the midway point of the season, which would put them in a spot where they have a bunch of... You look at how their schedule fell. First 3 games of the year against 3 of the easiest opponents imaginable. You get the Saints without Drew Brees. You get the New York Jets, albeit with Sam Darnold, but his first game back. Then you get the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that is struggling right now, just got crushed. You can't win any of those football games. That will, to me, be the last piece of evidence I need to be able to say definitively this Cowboys team, even if they somehow sneak into the playoffs, winning the division 8-8, 9-7, is not a very good team, is not a threat to go on a postseason run. And if that's how this season goes, they're not bringing Jason Garrett back next year. You can say he has not underachieved up to this point, and I think it's a decent point. But given the talent on the roster this year, if this team this season doesn't build on what they did last year, that will be underachieving. And it will be underachieving when Jerry Jones has no exit route this year, because it's either fire him or don't bring him back, or give him a contract extension. That's the other. Jason Garrett is on the last year of his deal. So if he is back next season, it is with even added security because it is with a brand new contract. So I don't think he's going to get, if they lose on Sunday, fired on Tuesday. But I do think if they lose Sunday, he's not going to be the head coach of the team next year.
I don't think the offense's performance this year will be blamed on the coach. All right, Michael Gallup was outstanding week number 1 and the first quarter week number 2. He gets hurt. We know both offensive linemen get hurt within a game and a half of each other. Zeke misses all of training camp. All right, so Amari Cooper now has been banged up for the last couple weeks after coming into the season injured. When you're there and you're looking at those injuries every single day compared to us just watching the games and everything, I believe that Jerry thinks that, man, if my guys were healthy, if they had a healthy starting lineup all through the board offensively, and they still had the same record, then we could have this conversation. But, Jerry, it takes time. They got a new offensive coordinator. They've had changes all up and down the lineup. So, for me, it still takes a little more patience with Jason Garrett as far as the offense and what they should be doing.
I have a question. Do you think that this 3-game skid and potentially a 4-game skid if they lose to Philadelphia will table any contract talks at all with Dak moving forward? We have not talked about that for a while. Remember, Dak is still on a downward slide almost.
Well, the whole team is, but no, I don't think it will. Now, it might make it to where Dak is more likely to accept whatever the best offer the Cowboys have presented is. But one of the reasons I think Jason Garrett is in such jeopardy if they lose is Jerry's not going to blame his quarterback. Jerry loves this guy. Jerry wants this guy to be the franchise quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys for the next decade. So
But he should be giving Jason Garrett some of the credit for developing him. If you love him, he didn't come in here developed.
Sure, but if he wanted to give him a lot of credit for that, he could have done that in the form of a contract extension this offseason. Whether Jerry said it or not, he made it very clear that Jason Garrett was going to be evaluated on this season.
And he should be.
Right, and I think that's fair. And the one question I have for you before we move on is, when you bring up the injuries, you mentioned how excited you are the NBA is coming around. I think in the NBA, if you have a team wrecked due to injuries, it's totally fair to almost throw the year out. Not judge anyone poorly, because injuries in the NBA, other than the mild, the occasional ankle sprain, are somewhat outlier events. In the NFL, when there is a guaranteed injury rate, the question is just how high for every team. Isn't it fair, part of how you judge a coach, how well they deal with the inevitable injuries?
No, because you can't replace star players. Star players do too much of the bulk of the work for replacement players to do it. No, the star players in the NFL, if you lose them, there is no replacement. It's different when you got less moving parts. All right, you got a guy on offense and defense in the NBA. If a guy's not a good shooter, you bring in a shooter. Guy's not a good defender, you bring in one. When you lose speed, you lose reception, you lose blocking ability, it affects everything, the trickle-down effect. I got to protect my left tackle. I haven't had to protect my blind side for 8 years. Wow. Now my right tackle's out. So now even the game, putting it back to the tailback, the game I depend on, I can't even do that. Football is the ultimate team game. And when you remove one of those huge dominoes, that being a star player, it's impossible to replace their productivity. Now, we see a few coaches do it, but in the league, it is very, yes, do we get ready for injuries? Yes, but there is no plan to lose a star player. Look at the Chargers. They lost some star players. Have they recovered?
No.
Right.
No. Absolutely not.
The one coach who does do it and do it well is Bill Belichick. And we're going to talk Patriots on the other side. Why are the Pats suspending three-time Pro Bowler Michael Bennett? That's next on First Things First.
It's easy to replace star players when you just make sure you don't have them.